Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Thanks for making the time. You are
Pleasure.
there. I mean, I have your bio here in case, like, I had to read it, but I'm pretty sure.
Go for it.
This is Freddie De Tommaso, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you got to be here. I have harassed this man for the last 6 months, messaging him in Instagram. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, I'm hosting.
No, we've done it. We've got it. We've got it together.
Come over here. I want to talk to you. Tenor stuff.
Yeah.
So, no, really glad that you're here. We're just kind of talking a little bit till people kind of start coming in.
Sure.
Freddie currently is doing Tosca, right, at the Staatsoper, Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin. Yeah.
Hoping to actually catch one of these days. And he is currently also, I don't know if it's updated or not, appearance at the Gran Teatro del Liceo as Riccardo, Un ballo in maschera, Maurizio, Adriana Lecouvreur.
Last season, yeah.
Yeah, that was last season? Okay, so maybe it's not updated. But obviously doing a lot of things. Freddie, I always like to talk this stuff about, obviously it's tenor talk, it's tenor technique.
Yeah, sure.
I want to take this time because you obviously, just by looking at you, you're a big bloke. And I know that one of your mottos are lift big, sing big.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be a fantastic to talk about working out for the opera singer.
Yeah. It's
so
funny because there's so much controversy that surrounds it.
Yeah.
It's mad.
We've talked about it already a little bit. And I think I know what your point of view of it is, but obviously there's a lot of people that sometimes come and they ask me, hey, what are your thoughts in working out?
Yeah.
Teachers have said that, opera singers should never work out. The weights are an enemy, or they'll tense you up. And there's, obviously some truth to that in if you're doing it incorrectly. But I wanted to steer the conversation towards this topic, which I think isn't really talked about. And since you're such a gym guy, I can see that.
I think it's really like, again, it's so individual, for what might really give somebody tension and problems in their neck or in their chest or whatever.
Yeah.
For another person, doesn't give them any grief at all. I think people who come to weightlifting like later, so if they've been a singer for many years and then they start training, those people seem to be affected by it more than people like myself who were lifting first and then started singing.
Yeah. I funny enough, when I do any sort of workout, and it's not that I'm also have the chance to kind of go to the gym every day, but before I sang, I used to be a huge gym junkie.
Right.
At 17 years old, my goals weren't to be an opera singer. I didn't know I wasn't going to do that, but I kind of wanted to be a bodybuilder or a power lifter. I was this like big old 300 pounds walking around because I loved lifting weights. And funny enough, when I transitioned into this crazy world of opera singing, I felt like I adapted my breathing technique. And even nowadays, when I go to do a workout, I'm actually like the same thing that I do when I sing, I do when I lift. So if anything, it builds the right habit, not the wrong habits of breath in.
Definitely. And the breath. I mean, the breath is so important in both. In obviously in singing, but also in lifting. It's and especially for people whenever I train with friends and who also sing, if I see that they're not using their breath, if they're like getting stuck, then I always encourage them to really exhale whilst you're lifting, because that'll help to prevent any kind of grip or tension like in here.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I want to clarify. There are dangers to lifting incorrectly.
Of course. Like you can really hurt yourself.
You can hurt yourself. And I think just like with opera singing, you definitely need a technique for lifting as well.
100%.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Mir and Instant Opera, just as people are joining in. The technique when it comes to lifting as well, or I should say the dangers when it comes to lifting as well, is that there is an element of if we're not conscious of it, we're lifting something maybe quite heavy, and we do this. Take a deep breath, and then
Yeah.
Right, which is this, we're closing our cords muscularly, right, to the point
Yeah.
just squeezed shut. And
Yeah.
we big breath, so we have a lot of air in our lungs, which causes subglottic pressure. And so we have a lot of air wanting to come out, but cords wanting to stay shut.
They're welded shut. Yeah.
All it creates is just tension in the neck. And the
Yeah,
little
that's for sure. That if you're doing that, you're gonna cause yourself grief. Absolutely.
And as a singer, I think that if you develop that, or you're in a habit of going to the gym quite regularly because you're staying in shape, but you're doing that all the time, it's going to be almost impossible for you to get rid of the habit when you sing. Because when you sing, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go.
Yeah, you're naturally going to go towards that
Right.
stuck feeling. Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely dangers of doing it incorrectly. But you said you've applied a lot of this relaxation in your neck. You know, when it comes to even lifting quite heavy, what is sort of your technique, or what is sort of your thoughts about going into lifting? You could even, like walk us, step by step if you're doing something like a bench press.
If I'm doing heavy press, honestly, as I said before, like because I did weightlifting before any kind of serious singing, I had obviously kind of built a foundation of technique in lifting before the singing. So the main thing I just think about is not doing what you've just expressed about this tense feeling with the kind of the chords trying to remain shut. I just breathe through it. I really just breathe through it. I'm not afraid to like make noise in the gym. Like, sometimes people will be like, "Oh, it's embarrassing," whatever. I will like shout and make grunting noises, but in an attempt to keep my throat relaxed and to let the air escape. So not to hold it in.
Hang on, I can see Freddie. So you bench press and you go, Vittoria, Vittoria.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I would absolutely. I agree with all that. I think that there's an element, you can't obviously just lift the weight and then, because you're trying to relax, get rid of all your air.
No, of course, yeah.
We need certain pressure, internal pressure, to kind of help us balance the weight. But I think this idea of releasing the air generously, just like you would when you're singing.
Yeah, that like hissing, that like puncture sound. I do a lot of that.
Yeah, because in that case, the cords aren't shut. There's not a lot of tension here. The air is going through the cords, but it's going in a way that is, it's an energized stream of air, kind of like a hose around the hose.
Because again, like with lifting, as with singing, if you're too relaxed, if you let that like the positive tension go, then your lift's going to be ruined as well.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, thanks. I appreciate your time. I'll see you next time. I'm just kidding. But hello, everybody who's joining us. Ben Harbold, Benjamin Grobler, Mir, Philip Almond. We also have some people from Philly and from Italy. We actually do have a question. Hey, can you work out your core? Oh, sorry. Can working out your core?
So when I was started to study singing seriously, my teacher obviously knew that I was big into lifting and also like and he was in his youth as well. And he said the one bit of advice, he was like, "I'm not going to tell you not to lift. I think it's good to be strong, but don't don't train your core. Like if your core will get trained by other movements, like if you're deadlifting, you're training your core. If you're squatting, you're training your core. Even if you're picking up heavy dumbbells to do pressing, you're always training your core. But don't go and lie on the gym floor and do crunches for hours on end, because that's not going to be helpful."
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. There's a lot to be said about the elasticity that's needed when singing. So I think that if you are going to the gym for the purpose of singing and you're just working on abs, you might actually find, if you do have a six pack or you're really quite lean that way, a certain rigidity in your breath. Because again, when you're quite thin and lean and you have musculature everywhere, it does if you're not trained, it does start to get a little harder to get that nice deep breath where everything needs to expand. And if you're so used to this and kind of collapsing, or your body is naturally able to support the sound. There's not a needed amount.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't need to add extra muscle to because you think, oh, I want to be able to sing well. Like you, as you just said, your body, you've got the natural equipment to do it.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the nail. It's not about isolating the core. The core, it's great if you work it out. You're going to work it out in a lot of different movements. But just isolating the core itself, just because you want to, it's not really. I don't think it's going to improve upon anything.
No.
And I think that a lot has to be said about cardiovascular workouts. Last year I was so far away. I don't know why. I got this Airbnb super far away from Berlin, and I was doing Hamlet with actually one of your friends, Hugh. And I had nothing to do, so all I did, and the role was also very, very small. So I was just a very relaxing rehearsal schedule. So I just started running a lot, just a big jump, a lot of. And then actually, I felt it really helped with my lung capacity when it came to singing. It took about a month. Obviously, like I started, I did like 50 minutes, and I was like, dead. And then 15 minutes started.
100%, man. Yeah, cardiovascular health, that is definitely going to be good for anyone singing. Like, and just for life, be cardiovascularly fit. That's great.
Yeah,
live longer.
I think the singing part too, because I would, as I was running and jogging, I would try to think about my breath, my thoracic breathing when I'm singing.
Yeah.
And then I felt like, I could like sustain notes longer. Like my lung capacity feels quite better in my airflow, So a lot, weights are fantastic too. I love to do certain workouts, but a lot of cardiovascular workouts also help me.
One thing I've wondered sometimes, when you see super high level athletes, they train with like an oxygen exclusion mask on, so it like reduces the amount of oxygen they're getting.
Yeah.
I was wondering if, because like when I went to Santa Fe last summer, obviously it's at a higher altitude in the desert, where is it, in New Mexico, and then I came back to Europe, I was like, whoa, my God, my breath lasts, like I've got more breath, basically it lasts twice as long. And then it made me think like, I wonder if somebody trained with that like oxygen exclusion mask apparatus, and then would it mean suddenly that they could sing like fucking 16 bar phrases?
I think you're onto something, because I went to Aspen a long time ago. I went to Aspen.
Oh, yeah, that's up as well, isn't it?
When I first got there, I was like, I can't, sing half a bar and I'm dead.
Yeah.
And then what did I do? I just went, I'll start running. I ran, and I kind of got acclimated. When I was like, oh God, I can sing like twice as long. You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely something to be said about working with certain lung capacity exercises and the amount of air. If you get used to being relaxed, perhaps even with less amount of air, when you're singing normally, you might be able to hold it out even longer. We have greetings from Greece. Hi. Greetings from Philippines. How are you guys? Good advice. One of my teachers used to sing while running. I'm trying as I'm swimming. Do you have any advice about this? Swimming. One of the greatest singers before they even sung was a swimmer. Really. I mean, go ahead. If you wanna mention something about swimming. I don't know if you're a swimmer or not.
No, I think swimming's fantastic. Like, it's like a whole body workout every time you get in the pool. There's obviously, because of the water, there's no, you're not going to be holding tension because it's supporting you. And I think, and for your breath, for your lung capacity, swimming is going to be great. I would guess.
Funny enough, swimming, everything that you said, and swimming as well, because you're also underneath the water, in which you kind of have to hold your breath and then come in, get that expansion, kind of, and a lot of this lat movements, which I was going to ask you, what's your favorite, if you were to work out for a show, do you work out specific exercises, or do you just like, whatever, I'm just going to hit chest today? Or are you like, okay, I'm singing Tosca, I'm going to do
on a show day?
Yeah, on a show day.
My show day gym sessions are slightly different to my my normal split. So if I'm doing like push pull legs or whatever,
Mhm.
but so I won't be doing a full session on a show day because I don't want to, absolutely knacker myself out, take too much energy. So I'll just do a kind of lighter weights, higher reps, kind of almost like a bit of a pump session, just to get the blood flowing, to get myself awake, and to feel like I've used my body and my muscles, but I've not kind of really taxed myself.
Yeah. Do you go for a specific exercise?
Not specifically, no. Like I wouldn't train legs. I wouldn't train legs on a show day. Like that's just gonna knacker you out. And I wouldn't do heavy. I wouldn't do it like deadlift or any real heavy stuff. I'd keep stuff like kind of 10 to 15 rep range.
Yeah, gotcha. I do like lat pull downs for some reason if it's a show day, and I have them because again it's not like that. But
you like that stretch.
Pull down, that stretch of really does help me.
Sure.
I skipped the question from Philip Almond. I'm feeling very stuck. I had a couple of years away and I feel worse now I'm back. It's mainly neck tension, gripping with my neck. How would we resolve this? I used to love singing and now. So I'm not sure if he's talking about exactly just in vocal technique aspect or in weightlifting. But as far as gripping with neck tension,
if he's gripping when he's lifting, I mean, just if he's exhaling when he's lifting, that's going to immediately stop him gripping in his neck. So if you try and grip your neck and then exhale, it's not going to work. Like your neck is going to relax to let you exhale. So if it's for lifting, then that's what I'd say. If it's for singing, I don't know. Good question.
It could be quite a few things. Funny enough, I think again, because I apply a lot of my singing technique to the lifting, the breathing. I think that when it comes to also gripping your neck, it could just be a muscular tension in trying to get closure, right? And so when we do it in lifting, we inhale, and then we sometimes when we don't know what we're doing, we're just kind of lifting this weight, and we immediately just do. And again, that's just pressurized air escaping through really squeezed cords. So you get that grunt. And if we
100%.
Singing, when we're like, there's still an element of tension. So I would say, well, you know me, if you've seen my videos, I have a bunch of videos that I talk about going the other extreme. Use reinforcement.
Really some gentle onset.
Gentle onsets, things that allow you to use the breath in a generous way until it starts to go away. Just how we talked about this energized stream of air. Humming exercises, relax, even massages that relax a little bit the jaw. So I mean, all that's relaxed. There's a lot of things that help with tension, and I talk about these in my videos as well. Aaron, the music guy, says, sing us Nessun Dorma. So go ahead, Freddie.
Great. Go look it up. I didn't realize I can see the questions at the bottom. I didn't even realize.
Great. Okay, let me see. Andre Mangatal. Good day, guys. Thanks for the live. By the way, hi, Andre. Years ago, the look of tenors was more hefty looking one. Can you say that a more sleek, sexier look for tenors is one the producers go? That's a nice question. I
hope, mate. If they're looking for sleek and sexy, I'm not getting any jobs. So.
I mean, I haven't worked with as many directors as you have, Freddie. I don't necessarily think so. I think it's a good bonus if you are.
I mean, for sure. I think these obviously we can see that in this day and age with like streaming and cinema, broadcast, live HD, all that stuff.
Yeah.
For sure, these days aesthetic is more important. It has just become that way. Whether that's a good thing or not, that's the jury's out on that one. Right. I think really, doesn't really matter massively. If somebody sings like incredibly, then let them crack on, Yeah. But but I mean, I suppose in answer to Andre's question, maybe they do want more like aesthetic vibes these days, but to be honest, if you're, talent will out.
Yeah. I agree. I tend to agree. I agree with the fact that nowadays with all these live streamings, everything's more zoomed in and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
someone like, what's the guy from Francesca de Rimini? Paolo Il Bello, right? The beautiful Paolo. You imagine want to cast somebody who's quite, handsome or something like that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
at the end of the day, for me, is whoever is best suited for the job vocally. I mean, you can have
Exactly. Yeah.
he can't sing me the role, or he's yelling through it, then
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. Greetings from Maryland, Alex. How are you? Kevin Jones says, "What should a daily routine look like for the voice?" Ooh, that's actually a nice question. What does the Freddie De Tommaso daily routine look like?
For me, I mean, so obviously, it depends if you're doing 6 hours of rehearsal a day, or if it's a show day or whatever, or if it's just a day. Like for me today, in between shows, I like to sing a little bit every day, even if it's kind of like a rest period. I just partly because I love doing it. It's fun for me. It's not a chore. I'm not like, oh God, I've got to do some singing practice. Like normally people that do this job love singing. So, I actually quite often I really like to sing when I come back from the gym. So I generally am a kind of a mid to late morning gym goer. So I'll come back, get showered and changed and whatever, maybe have some food and then sing for anything between half an hour and an hour and a half at that point. Maybe it'll be the piece that I'm singing at the moment. So Tosca, for example, that maybe I think, oh, I want to try, if this phrase, whatever. Or maybe if I'm studying for a debut or something, I'll get that score open. Or sometimes I just love to nerd out, pick a score out and be like, oh, let's, have a look at this.
Yeah. Actually, you hit on something, and I wanted to ask you because I found this out very early on. So back home, I used to play a lot of tennis. I used to do a lot of sports in general, but when I started singing, I was playing a lot of tennis, and I realized every time I come back from playing, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours even of tennis, and then I would sing, even if I didn't warm up at all that day, I was just like everything was just coming out.
Yeah, it comes really well. Yeah.
I kind of looking into why, and I got what I realized pretty much is when you kind of get the blood flowing, right? Because the instrument isn't just this; it's really the whole body.
Yeah.
When you get the blood flowing, there's a certain effect, especially doing cardiovascular exercises, which you're running or you're doing tennis or a sport or whatever it is. If you're kind of like this at the end, this sort of expansion, that kind of like the breath comes in naturally and wants to exhale naturally.
Yeah.
So you have to do as much as if you just wake up and you're like, oh, you're kind of tired, and then
For sure.
the body.
That's why I find it sometimes funny if it's a normal, like an evening performance day. So whether it's at 7:30, 8, whatever. I personally find it bizarre then if people need to warm up for ages.
Yeah, right.
Because you've done a day, unless you've just lay in bed and not done anything and not spoken. I mean, to be fair, I know we do have colleagues that don't speak, and
Right.
that's not my thing. But like, if you've done a day's life, you've been to the gym, you've eaten 2, 3, 4 meals or whatever, you've walked around, you've gone shopping, you've gone to a dentist appointment, whatever,
Right.
you are like well on your way to being ready to sing. Like you maybe, just sing do a couple of quick exercises, maybe sing a little bit of your first aria or whatever, and then you should be ready to go.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I find that the European lifestyle is a little bit different from the United States ones, in which European, you're kind of forced to walk and even you want to go to grocery stores, you take on your bike and you go. And whereas, in the American lifestyle, you kind of just hop in your car and you drive everywhere. But I would suggest people out there as well, try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Fine, forget about it. But one thing that I apply to my singing, especially show day, I do a cardiovascular workout. Go running, go jogging, do one of these Tabata or HIIT workouts that are like just 10 minutes long. And at the end of it, you're probably going to be like, so just wait a little bit until your breath kind of settles and your heartbeat settles a bit too. And then once you're a little bit more not hyperventilating, try singing, see how that helps. for me, it's helped all so much. Even the stretching. Every day I stretch all this intercostals. I make sure my legs are stretched. It's just part of my warm up routine as well.
Yeah.
All right, greetings.
Yeah, I like that feeling actually of stretching. I often stretch before when I'm in the wing before I even go on the stage. I'll just stretch my hamstrings and quads.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about that makes me feel really grounded.
Yeah, I for some reason it's really the lower body. I mean, yes, I stretch this, but I stretch the lower body because if that's tight, I don't know. There's something. If I feel like if that's tight, like
I definitely agree with you.
If I can't touch my toes or anything, I feel stuck too. Like All right, we have hello from Wales. Hi, Lee. Just wanted to say thank you to Freddie. He gave some advice to him before that helped his high notes. Oh, great. Ever have periods of your life where your voice feels heavier?
Yeah, 100%. After being ill.
Yeah.
After being ill, those first few days, if you've been properly ill, I'm not just talking about a little sniffle, but if you've had a proper flu or chest infection or throat infection, whatever, those days when you're getting back, you're trying to kind of get the engine going again, and it feels like your voice weighs a ton. Yeah. At least for me, that's the time.
That's for everybody getting sick. Also, maybe just not sleeping. At least that's for me. If I don't get adequate, I'm just in that horrible vocal fry, which I feel like my voice never. I can never. I suffer.
I'm curious actually about, because sleep is so important for all health aspects in life and whatever, but for singers, this thing of mouth taping. Have you heard about this? About mouth people taping. So one of my best mates, he a couple of years ago he's a singer, taped his mouth shut with like medical tape, and so it forces you to sleep, to breathe through your nose while you're sleeping. Oh. And we've chatted about it at length, and he is completely convinced that it has stopped him getting ill.
Wow.
Because if you're sleeping with like your mouth open for the whole night and it's drying you out and everything, and bugs and germs and whatever can just get in. Yeah, he's absolutely convinced that this mouth taping thing has stopped him getting sick.
I've never heard of that. That's super cool. Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I myself, I wake up and it takes me a little bit of time. I mean, I take immediately a steam shower to get rid of all the phlegm and gunk that's just stuck there. Also, a little bit from TMJ. So I actually have a little massage gun, and I kind of a little bit of my jaw to kind of get a little bit more relaxed there. And then after that, I can start my warm up and stuff like that. But I know I woke up. To look into. Hello from Wales. Also, I power lift, and often I find I sing more relaxed after. That's great.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I think I was going to ask you, if you apply the singing techniques to your lifting, as you inevitably get stronger and stronger, doesn't that make as well your coordination and your strength in your support stronger as well? For example, like if you like, because again, you're reinforcing those good habits. Do you feel like, I don't know, maybe this is an obvious question, or an obvious answer to this question. Before, when you perhaps weren't as strong as you are now, or when you started, did you feel your voice progressed and got perhaps more voluminous, more grounded, more into your support as you built those habits in your training? Or not?
Maybe, but obviously, whilst my training has progressed in the last, I started going to gym when I was 15, and I'm 31 now, so 16 years of training. And then obviously during that period, I've generally got stronger. Like obviously it goes a bit like this, but over, like I'm stronger now than I was when I was 22, when I was just starting to sing as a tenor, for example. So obviously my voice has got stronger and more powerful and more resonant, and I have got stronger. Whether they are linked together, I don't know. I am kind of inclined to say that they are, but I don't know for sure.
I do feel, just again, I don't hit the gym as regularly as I used to be honest. It's also with all the traveling, it doesn't help. But I do feel that when I am in the gym, and if I'm doing somewhat consistently, I find that if I apply the breathing techniques, especially on the left, or if I'm doing bicep curls, and then I go to sing and I apply exactly what I did in my weightlifting. If I get stronger in my weightlifting, I feel like I get more grounded in my singing. So in any of the in that case, then weightlifting can help if you're doing it correctly. I mean, it all has to be unique. Ben, how are you, Ben? Big question with all caps. How do you both adjust when the house/hall is dead and it feels like you're singing into a tips, ideas? Yeah. Take it away, Freddie.
I mean, it's a terrifying moment, isn't it? When you go to a new place and you start to sing and you're like, oh, okay, not much going on here. No, for me, I'm very sensation based rather than I try not to listen. If I listen to myself too much, like it actually makes me push if I hear myself too much. So I just really try to focus on what I'm feeling, what I'm feeling of the sound coming out of here mostly. Almost. I'm in those situations. I'm almost tempted to block my ear even more, to not listen.
Yeah, 100%. I was a listening singer, and
Really
got away with it for a while because I just kind of getting that feedback.
Yeah.
But I realized when I went to these dead places, it was just awful. And then what happens?
Yeah.
First natural instinct is to give and give more and push.
Yeah. And you're like, please, I need to hear. Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even notice that you're pushing, and you are. And so I really got some horrible experiences in dead halls. And then I started training into myself exactly what you just mentioned is you stop listening to yourself. You go based off sensation. And again, a lot of my videos are all about the gentle attack so that you never feel that you need to push. And as you ascend higher and higher for tenors, I don't know if you have this feeling, but for me it was really hard to get this bad habit out of my mind because again, I was hearing and I was always trying to fight the orchestra.
100%. Yeah.
It was like surrendering myself and just like kind of letting go of the sound and trusting that the overtones were going to cut through the orchestra. So as far as tips, I would say in your training, when you're in your practice room and all that stuff, because I know that sometimes even practice rooms, since they're tiny, it can get reverby. Don't listen to the sound. Listen to.
I really like sometimes, especially if, again, kind of circling back to the thing about if you're ill and your voice is feeling heavy. If you're not feeling in your best form, do your first 15 minutes of singing, exercises, singing, whatever, with earphones in or your fingers in your ears or something. Just don't listen. Do not listen. Just focus on what you're feeling. Obviously, you're going to hear the core of the sound within you. But I find that really helpful.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time. Just close your ears and see what's happening internally. And you're actually going to find so much more stuff when you just shut yourself. And where's the buzz? Where's the internal buzz?
100%.
You just follow the buzz and not the feedback or the reverb of a hall. If you're singing in a dead hall and you just follow the buzz, then you're gonna find, or you're gonna at least know that sound's gonna cut through much more than trying to give more. And maybe the final piece of advice: whenever you ever get any feeling of tugging or want to give more, just go the opposite direction. Use it as a reminder. It's like, oh, I want to.
Oh man, we've all been in those situations where in performance you can be singing, if you're singing something with big orchestra and you're singing and you're like, oh God, I can feel myself giving more than I need to, but then having the kind of the discipline to reel that back and not is
it's
hard.
It's discipline, because you have to use the instinct of wanting to give as a reminder to do the
not give.
Not give. It's such a mind. But I say this and then tomorrow I'll probably do it by mistake. We're all imperfect. Hello, Harry. Thanks. Appreciate that. I do mouth taping as well. Oh, so this is a good thing. Instant opera says
cool.
That's really cool. Increase. Lee says, in his opinion, increased strength can equal increased strength and support, as a lot of development is created with maintaining intercostal pressure. Okay, fantastic. Is there a question I'm not? Are you saying I'm a controller?
No, I'm a controller. Recent stop over control.
I think that, Joyce Di Donato said something that was quite smart. She did say in one of her master classes, I don't know if it actually fit whatever she was demonstrating, but she said singing is the control of loss of control, and I do like that. I do.
Yeah.
If you connect to that in any way, Freddie, but
Yeah. No, I can understand that.
yeah, I find that the best day of me singing is when I allow everything to kind of just lose control, right?
Yeah.
The crack. And if
Yeah.
if that's the extreme, if that's just total loss of control, always with the approach of the side. If I can reel that in and control that loss of control,
Mm.
and then I feel like, I can maintain that of relaxation, but reel it in so that it actually is an actual operatic sound.
Yeah. 100%.
So it is true so for Philip, who says I'm a controller, we're all control freaks. Trust me,
Yeah.
you'll make a beautiful sound, but you kind of have to stop thinking that way. Forget about, I guess, beauty of the sound, the pretty of the sound, or trying to make a sound that's pretty. Just think about letting go. I would say that the operatic sound is quite primitive. Like it's almost like a lion roaring.
Oh mate, mate, it very much so, 100%. And it's tenor singing. If you mix like that kind of primitive sound also with a baby crying, then
exactly.
you've basically got some good singing.
Yeah. It's very. I don't know what to call it. I don't know if primitive is the right word, but kind of animalistic, kind of
Primal. Yeah.
primal.
Yeah.
Trust is squeak, says Ben Harbold.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes. Greetings from Maryland, Roller. How are you? Of course, Michael McDermott. I know Michael. How are you? It's been years. He says, "How do you guys deal with singing that is relentless in the passaggio?" Let's say Alfredo in the famous Traviata Cabaletta, which is
just avoid it.
Freddie, Alfredo, you love it.
My absolute favorite.
You love Alfredo. Tell us about the Cabaletta.
Cabaletta. Well, I think before you go on the stage, you need to say a little prayer. Ask the opera gods to smile on you, and that the tempo is going to be happy and good tempo for you, and that you are going to get to the end.
Oh God, that has to be one of the most.
That's the worst, man. In my opinion, it is without doubt the hardest thing.
I have spoken to a couple of other singers. Our dear colleague Santiago Ballarini. He says he has no problem with it. So I guess it does obviously depend on the voice type. I'm sure. Santiago.
Oh, 100%. I'm talking for my voice type.
Yeah.
No. For lighter voices, it's probably fine. But
Santiago can sing high C's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even for something like Nemorino, which is constantly an F sharp G, F sharp G, and these chromatic too.
Yeah.
I think if I'm gonna try to say anything smart, because again, I have a lot of Traviatas coming up, and then I say this, and then I totally botch it on stage. but I try to really not, as we talked about, tense or overcover or try to do anything weird in that area. If I
definitely
I think sitting on something, it's the worst kind of like I'm gonna just
I haven't sung Traviata that many times. I've sung it maybe 8 performances.
Yeah.
And each the times when the Cabaletta were the best for me was when I thought myself sing as legato as I possibly can. So let the orchestra do umcha and just sing super legato. That was the big thing for me. And also, you need a tempo that is good for you, whether it's on the slower side, on the faster side, or whatever. Make sure that you've chatted with your conductor and that you're both in the same headspace of how it's going to be. 100%. But for sure, sing as legato as you possibly can. And what you said about like don't try and overcover when it's going through that passaggio bit, because otherwise getting up to the top is going to be really hard.
Yeah, you put a ceiling.
Try and stay as relaxed as you possibly can.
Yeah, chromatic scales are because you kind of, if you overcover, you put a ceiling in your voice. But like you mentioned that, you nailed it. You said let the orchestra do the dynamics, even on the notes in that big jump. You know,
Yeah.
no, sing it
Oh
loud.
no, for sure. Because it's going to be louder anyway. Because you're going up, jumping up to the A. It's going to be louder.
Homie, don't go. Homie, so fuck. No. Let the orchestra.
No. If you listen to, there's the recording of Franco Bonisoli singing it, and it's
My God.
so legato. It's like, oh my god,
Oh.
like it is crazy legato.
What's the young version? Because there's an older version where he's just yelling.
I don't know, man. It was just I remember hearing it and being like, wow, he is singing it so legato, and because he's singing so legato, it just sounds like a piece of cake.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy could sing everything.
Whatever he wants with his voice. Well, I was gonna say something and then I forgot. But oh yes, I did. I had to do a couple of 10 English, so that was even the worst.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I'm greetings from Maryland. We talked about. Thank you, Rollerblade Guru. I really appreciate that. It really helps the channel. Big thank you to you. Benjamin Grobler says, "Do you think there are any exercises that can help for a steadier vibrato?"
You can have that one.
I funny enough, you're gonna realize that I never talk about vibrato in my videos, because for vibrato is what's it called? It's an effect, not an effect. It's a result. There we go. It's a result of a released sound. So if the sound is not released, it's gonna be tense. It's gonna be almost even straight tony. If there's a lot of swallowing ingolato, kind of, that really deep compressed yawn position, then the vibrato is gonna be, even if the voice is wider, which can result in wobbling sound. I don't talk a lot about vibrato because I talk a lot about freeing the sound. If the sound is free, you're gonna realize your vibrato gets actually quicker. It gets fast. If I do this, straight toning, a lot of tension. If I do this, the sound is freer, but everything's ingolato, so the vibrato is wider. But if I just relax the sound, you're gonna realize a sense of a speeding of vibrato, of a vibrato that's natural to you. So I don't necessarily have exercises to help with vibrato. I have exercises releasing the sound, and then the sound should find its vibrato. If that helps at all, Benjamin. I might make a video of it maybe later on. Pablo Sanchez, it is a great pleasure to listen to this conversation. Great. Could you comment on the second passage of the tenor towards the high range? So I'm guessing he's talking about like B flat, high B, high C, that area? Because he's talking about the second passaggio?
Could we comment on it? Well, small vowel, not too much air would be my two big things.
Yeah. I think that's a very crucial area in which the stretching of the chords and there needs to be almost more of a release into the chest voice sound. I feel like it gets thinner, much thinner there, and it's definitely much
100%.
As we go there. Like if we're
people blow way too much air. People think, oh, high note, more air, and it's the opposite. High note, less air.
I'm gonna make a horrible attempt, but if I did this, so what the heck was that? Sorry. I don't know if you can guys hear this.
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear it? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have this octave. It's like a high B. If I don't allow the stretch, right? I have my little jelly toy here. If I don't allow this stretch to continue, I feel that and I try to sing everything with the same amount of thickness in the bottom. I can get there, but it's really not that free because I'm not letting go of that sort of, kind of chest pressure, chest voice. And it's not ever letting go of the chest voice. We're always singing connected. But I feel like there's kind of in the approach to how you said the cry, the tenor sigh. There's a lot of this sighing going on. And as you approach, the connection becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. it feels like it becomes thin, right? Instead of trying to bring more grunty weight to it. Yeah, so I think that if anything, that's why I like to talk about surrendering myself to the sound, because there's an element of, it's vulnerable. It's kind of like getting naked on stage. It's vulnerable because you really have to let go of what we men are so used to when we talk. We talk in our chest voice. We scream in our we do everything in our chest voice. We don't ever necessarily tune into this kind of sound here that is much dominant. So it's really getting thinner and thinner up there, especially B flat, high B, high C area. How was my high B, Freddie? Was it good?
Oh, class, top class.
Will I be you? Will I be as you? Did you guys sing Don Jose? Freddie has that. I have not sung. I haven't done actually a lot of French. I struggle a lot with Oui, je revois mon village. I don't know. My French is terrible. Phrase. Keep in je revois. So he's struggling with this sort of phrase. That's all you, Freddie.
What's he saying? I'm struggling a lot with that phrase, keeping a French U in je revois. Oh God, I'm so bad with those knowing what they're called. Is it the schwa? That's a schwa, I think, a schwa vowel. So just a kind of that neutral
Yeah. I haven't sung the role, so I couldn't tell you.
Maybe if he's saying he struggles with keeping it, maybe he's pressing on it or something. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what the problem is. It's just, if that's what you need to know, it's what the vowel should be. It's je.
Right.
The schwa vowel.
Do you? This is just a question of mine. Do you, as you approach audio, do you tune your vowels a certain way, or do you not even think about that? Do you tune
a little bit?
More of that or else? I don't know. A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Just a bit in passaggio. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. Yeah. I mean, that might help. Again, I haven't sung the role, but
yeah.
I know the phrase, so unfortunately, it can't really help. But keeping a French, I am gonna say something. A lot of people, this might put me in trouble, but I'm one of those singers where I would sacrifice vocal diction if it was causing tension.
Yeah, me too. Okay. And also, I mean, with French, I mean, whenever I sing in French, I sing French with Italian vowels.
Right. Yeah.
And like a very good French coach has told me to do that. Like when I was coaching Carmen with her, saying, "Oh, but is it French enough?" She was like, "Just sing Italian vowels. That's what makes the best French." So I was like, "Okay." That's all this micromanaged stuff, which some people do, is.
Yeah, I had a lot of French coaches that were like, even like the Faust, "Salut, demeure, recherche, and I'm like, that crap. There's just no way.
Yeah, it's completely useless.
Fred talks about how you place the sound. Fred, Fred,
Harry, talk about how you place the sound and see. That's just something I've spoken with, because I've taught Harry about. It's a Franco Corelli thing of singing into the back of your teeth. Try and make your teeth rattle. I think it was what he said, and I find that really helpful sometimes. Especially if people have got a tendency to sing a bit ingolato, for it to be trapped in the back. Just think about rattling your teeth.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I actually, the next video I was gonna be about the snarl. I don't really think about it anymore. I've thought about it for years. A lot of people talk about, the famous basilio. Think about the basilio. Think about the yawn, which everyone can relate to it. But I do think the yawn does get people quite in a dark place. If they go, okay, let me do the yawn then.
Yeah, if you do the yawn and then stay in the back, you're in trouble. You have to do the yawn and then flick the sound forwards.
So for me, it's now, also I'm a big fan of Salvatore Fisichella and singers like even Gedda and Del Monaco and Bjorling. They always show teeth, and there's always a snarl. So it's not so much. It's more like it's almost like an internal smile here, and then up their mouth. ah. It's like you have the same thing as the yawn. You have the depth. You know, the larynx is low, the palate is raised, but nothing is falling into it.
Yeah.
And it defeats the purpose.
Everything's like kind of in this forward position.
And the vowels. And funny enough, you know, today one of my dreams is to be able to go to Sicily and get a lesson from Fisichella. But if you look at all his classes, he talks about, you know, he won't do anything unless the sound, the impostazione, the placement of the vowel is correct. If you go like this, you'd be like, no, you're not using the larynx. You know, he's so Italian. No, which, you know,
your impersonation of him is good.
For a lot of people, you know, you could hear that, and then they try to do that at home, and they go
Yeah.
He's not talking about slamming your chords. He just wants to be clear, a clear So yes, you know, you do the snarl. Try the snarl. I'm gonna make a video about that later. It's just we have about 7 minutes left. Is it possible to have a career in opera even without an education from university or conservatory? I was in the Navy. I was paid for private lessons for years. I am a CV now. I guess that's civilian now, and it's my dream. I'm 30.
Yeah, for sure. You don't have to go to university or a conservatoire.
Yeah. I don't think I have yet to use my diploma for absolutely any other reason.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it sets you up well. You know, you ultimately you need a good teacher. So whether that teacher is a private teacher or the teacher is in the conservatoire, you should go to where the teacher is.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones that are going to build your voice, and you know, together you will make something with which you can have a career. You know.
Yeah. To this day, no audition panel has ever looked at my schooling.
No, of course not. They don't. Yeah.
The voice is going to get you the job. Fix the voice, shape, you're good to go. Hi, Sungil Kang. I hope I'm saying that right. Hi, I haven't studied a whole opera yet. Which opera could be the first opera to study as a tenor? Oh, it depends on many things. It depends on the voice type too. It's very hard. What was your voice? Actually, that's very curious. What was your first opera role you've sung or you had to study? Do you remember?
The first full role I sang was Il Tenore.
Il Tenore, Mozart.
Yeah, it was great. I absolutely loved it. It was so fun, really good. Yeah, we did. One of my coaches at the academy put on a semi-staged concert performance, and we did that. It was great.
Nice.
So I did that, and then in terms of roles, I did that, and then I did Don José in the Le Tragédie de Carmen, which is like the Peter Brook abridged edition of Carmen, which is basically like the best bits. Essentially, it's kind of a hour and 15 best bits of Carmen where there's only Don José, Micaela, Carmen, and Escamilla.
Oh, okay.
So I did that, and then Rodolfo.
I did do Rodolfo as one of my first. Funny enough, that was in Vienna. I don't know what I mean. It was like I was like 21, 20. I don't know what else. I did some early Baroque stuff. Mozart was actually horrible on my voice because again, I didn't quite understand this idea of relaxation. And if you're already a tense voice and you try to sing Mozart, you're gonna choke.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Sungil Khan, I can't really give you an answer because I don't know your voice type. I don't know how old you are, or well, not that how old you are matters at all, but just like where you are in your vocal development. Very difficult. Try a variety of things. Donizetti, Verdi.
Sing things that are comfortable. Sing things that are comfortable, but also challenge you to get better, but not that it's just ridiculous challenge. You know, things that just like training. Again, I'm taking it back to the gym, but challenge yourself with weight that is going to make you grow. Not that's going to rip your arms off.
I love it because again, in high school, I used to want to be a bodybuilder, and I went to the gym religiously. And funny enough, nowadays, everything I do, I always adapted to that same discipline of like training. You know what I mean? It's just to the gym and training. You know, singing, repetition, practicing, building the strength, building the coordination. It's funny how all that adds up. One more question, and then I kind of have one question for you, Freddie. can fit it in like 3 minutes. How do you? What is it? Michael McDermott says, "Are any pre-performance, mid-performance rituals or superstitions you guys have?"
No.
No.
I just drink so much water, Diet Coke, Red Bull, tea. Like I'm just drinking like a fish.
Yeah.
I do all the time.
A little cardiovascular workout and have a little tea, a little honey tea. I do kind of sneak in little, if I'm singing something that I never get off the freaking stage, I sneak little mugs. You know, if I can't go to my dressing room, like if I 10 seconds, I go, I get out, drink, and then I'm back. You know what I mean? Just kind of left side. How do you keep engaged while taking breaths between phrases? I want to ask something very important to Freddie, because Freddie, you're such a role model to so many young tenors, because you've achieved such a stardom quality in the opera industry at such a young age too, relatively young age. What career advice, and you can go as in-depth or superficial as you'd like, what career advice would you give to singers, or the path in a way? Like what would you recommend for young singers? And it doesn't have to be vocal technique necessarily. It could be even
Well, I mean, the thing I think which is so helpful for singers, if you kind of have been working hard, studying hard, and you feel like you are ready to do the job, then there are loads of big competitions out there. Those big international competitions, when you sing to those juries, it's like you've done a whole audition tour in 1 hour, because the panels of those competitions are made up of like the most influential people in our business.
Right.
So, I mean, that's certainly for me. That's how I went from just being a nobody student in London to then doing vignettes and having success there, and suddenly kind of all the people certainly in Europe that could give me work had heard me, that in the competition, and it really turbocharges things.
That's fantastic. Yeah, but obviously you were also ready for it, which I think it's also a point to bring out. You were ready for that competition, where a lot of people just sometimes
I suppose I was, but I myself didn't know I was ready, because I went at a fairly young age. The year that I did vignettes, I'd say the average age probably was like 27, 28, 29, and I was 23. So I basically went because I'd never been to Spain, and a friend of mine told me that they were doing the competition, and I was like, I literally Googled it, and I was like, that looks fun, because I had nothing to do, because I hadn't been cast in the Opera Academy. So that's how it happened for me. But honestly, that for me, because everyone knows that you have to work hard, and all that stuff. Like, but if you think, what can I do to reach these new people? Go and do a competition, and also it's going to be way cheaper going and doing a competition than doing a whole audition tour where
money.
Way more.
Yeah, fantastic. I love it. Don't say no to yourself, I guess, because a lot of mentality is like, I'm not ready for that. It's such a big competition.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Just go and try it.
Right. Don't
What's
say no.
the worst that can happen? If you sing badly, like, you don't get through to the next round, you work hard, you go again the next year, and then you do get through,
Right. All right. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much, Freddie. I really appreciate
it. My pleasure.
Hour of Generosity. I'm going to title this Lift Big, Sing Big. You already know it. I'm hoping to catch your Tosca on the 19th.
Nice one.
Don't suck. I'm just kidding. And hopefully maybe we can even hit the gym. We'll hit the gym.
Yeah. That'll be fun. Nice one. Take care, man. See ya.
Get it. All right, mate.
Bye.
Ciao. Thanks to everyone as well. Ciao.